watu wawili walipanda kwenda hekaluni kufanya maombi, Mfarisayo na mtoza ushuru. Sikiza kiburi cha Mfarisayo.
What is the best kept secret to becoming a great singer? I'm going to answer that question in 30 seconds. Let's start that clock. Hi, my name is Aaron Anastasi. I'm the founder of Superior Singing Method. I've got over 5
Today I'm going to show you the 5 foods you must avoid eating if you have arthritis. If you have arthritis, you need to watch this short video right.
Utukuzwe Mungu Bwana wa mabwana, hatuwezi kulalamika kuhusu ukombozi wetu. Lingekuwa jambo dogo kila mwanadamu analoliweza, usingekuja Yesu kutukomboa. Utukuzwe Mungu Bwana wa mabwana, hatuwezi kulalamika kuhusu ukombozi wetu. Lingekuwa jambo dogo kila mwanadamu analoliweza, usingekuja Yesu kutukomboa. Wengi wanaozungumzia umuhimu wa kuja kwake Yesu, aliacha kiti cha enzi aje kunitafuta. Sikuwa na matumaini, ulikuwa kama muujiza. Asante Yesu, unikomboa. Utukuzwe Mungu Bwana wa mabwana, hatuwezi kulalamika kuhusu ukombozi wetu. Lingekuwa jambo dogo kila mwanadamu analoliweza, usingekuja Yesu kutukomboa. Utukuzwe Mungu Bwana wa mabwana, hatuwezi kulalamika kuhusu ukombozi wetu. Lingekuwa jambo dogo kila mwanadamu analoliweza, usingekuja Yesu kutukomboa. Alipofika hapa duniani, akaanza kuyatenda makuu, ila wakazi wa dunia hawakumtambua. Wengi wakamchukia sana. Amekuja kwa mamlaka gani? Kumbe ni mwana wa Mungu, Mwokozi wetu. Utukuzwe Mungu Bwana wa mabwana, hatuwezi kulalamika kuhusu ukombozi wetu. Lingekuwa jambo dogo kila mwanadamu analoliweza, usingekuja Yesu kutukomboa. Utukuzwe Mungu Bwana wa mabwana, hatuwezi kulalamika kuhusu ukombozi wetu. Lingekuwa jambo dogo kila mwanadamu analoliweza, usingekuja Yesu kutukomboa. Nini kinachokukatisha tamaa? Likiwepo jina la Yesu lenye uwezo mkubwa wa kukushindia. Yeye ni Alfa na Omega, asiyetikiswa na chochote. Mwamini Yesu atakushindia. Utukuzwe Mungu Bwana wa mabwana, hatuwezi kulalamika kuhusu ukombozi wetu. Lingekuwa jambo dogo
I'm in Amsterdam, which is without a doubt the cannabis capital of the world. And that's because of the enormous, almost unbelievable interest.
Umenitendea makubwa na maisha yangu nimekabidhi kwako. Wewe ni Ebeneza, nitakusifu, nitakuinua Bwana, kwa maana mimi sina mwingine. Wewe ni Ebeneza, nitakusifu, nitakuinua Bwana, kwa maana mimi sina mwingine.
Marafiki zangu wote Baba wameniacha, wanasema eti kukusifu ni kupoteza muda. Wanacheka wakiniona kuwa muhimu Bwana, neema zako kwetu kweli zatosha.
Umenitendea makubwa na maisha yangu nimekabidhi kwako. Wewe ni Ebeneza, nitakusifu, nitakuinua Bwana, kwa maana mimi sina mwingine. Wewe ni Ebeneza, nitakusifu, nitakuinua Bwana, kwa maana mimi sina mwingine.
Praise the Lord. We want to welcome you to our virtual Sabbath service from here at our studios, United Central SDA Church. I have with me Mike, Clinton, and Edwin working behind the scenes, and Brother Gaddafi working from remotely from somewhere underground to make this service available to all of you. So I want to pray, and then we'll be able to listen to this so sweet, to trust in Jesus. I want to encourage you to go to your songbooks, go to your phones, and Google the song "This So Sweet," to trust in Jesus. That will be our opening song, and then after that, we will move to the offerings. Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you so much for granting us the opportunity to come to your house, the three of us, to make this live stream available for the members of United Central, the members of TME, and our world friends who are watching from all over the world. I will pray that this worship service will be meaningful to all of us. You will bless us, you will speak to us, start with us, walk with us, and finish with us. We pray in Jesus' name. May the church say amen. Amen. This is so sweet to trust in Jesus.
to trust Him more. I'm so glad I learned to trust Him. Precious Jesus, Savior, friend. And I know that He is with me, will be with me to the end. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust Him, how I proved Him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust Him more. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust Him, how I've proved Him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust Him more. Oh, for grace to trust Him more.
At this time, I want to invite you
It's me,
to think about what the Lord has done for you. You know, many times we think about our problems. We think about our challenges. We think about our jobs. We think about our losses. But we forget to think He who has taken care of us and who has provided us. You know, in the Bible, there is a story of a servant of God who went to a widow's house and required to be given something to eat. And that widow complained that she did not have enough for herself and for the child and for the servant of God. But the servant of God insisted, go. And by faith, that widow went. And she prepared a meal for the servant of God. And you know what happened? You know the story? What happened? For the 3.5 years, that widow and that orphan, the son, and the servant of God never lacked oil, nor flour, nor anything, just because she did it by faith. I want to encourage you today, under the weight of coronavirus, the call still is, are you going to be faithful to God? You know, God does not require you to give that which you do not have. If you have not earned a salary, don't give nothing. If you have earned little, give little. God requires you to be faithful. You know, myself and my wife also received the stimulus package from Donald Trump. And my wife asked me, now what do we do with this money? Do we give tithe? Do we give offerings? What do we do with this money? as we sat there looking at the so-called fact check, we smiled and we said, I told her, look, we are not sick like many who are in hospitals, in ventilators, praying for their lives. Look, we have not died like many. God has spared us. God has provided for us. God has been kind to us. Let us do the right thing. And we clicked our phones and we sent our tithes and offerings to the treasurer because that is the right thing to do. The Lord has blessed us. So I want to leave it for you. Look at your life. Don't look at the challenges. Look at what God has done for you, how he has carried you in the past, how he will continue carrying you to the future, and do the right thing. For a fact, God has been kind to you. I want to give you a minute as we listen to this song, as you give your offerings. Go to your wallets, go to your phones, and begin clicking where you send. Those who are sending to TME, you know where the Cash App number to use. Those of you who are sending to United Central, you know the Cash App number to use. Do it now as this song plays in the background, and then I'll pray for you and bless you. May God bless you as you give your offerings. Amen.
Kisha nikaona mbingu mpya ukishuka, Yerusalemu mji mtakatifu, mji ajabu umeng'aa, ukiwa umeandaliwa kama biharusi aliyepambwa kwa bwana wake, unavutia. Kisha nikaona mbingu mpya ukishuka, Yerusalemu mji mtakatifu, mji ajabu umeng'aa, ukiwa umeandaliwa kama biharusi aliyepambwa kwa bwana wake, unavutia. Natamani kuwa kwenye mji ule wa Yerusalemu,
for taking care of the bills of the church, for taking care of the tithes and offerings. May the good Lord take care of you even during these difficult moments of our season. Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for being so gracious to us, being so faithful to us, feeding us, providing for us, and taking care of us even during these strange times. We have given our tithes and offerings. Now it is your responsibility. Now it is your turn, God. Now it is for you to fulfill that which you have said in your word, that those who will be faithful, you will be faithful to them. And so we pray that as we give our tithes and offerings, as we have given to you, may you bless just as you have said, more abundantly and more graciously than we can ever imagine. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. We'll now listen to a special item, and then we will go to prayer, and then we will go to the word. Over to you.
ninashukuru kwa yote mema umenilinda miaka yote kanikinga toka maovu. Nasema asante. Sifa zako Bwana zikurudie. Sifa zako Yahweh ni za milele.
want to invite you to the presence of God in prayer. Maybe you have fears. Maybe you have anxieties. Maybe you are disappointed by life. Maybe you have something just to say thank you to the Lord. I want you to assemble right there at home with your family, with your children, with your husband, with yourself, so that we can go to the presence of God in prayer. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today in the name of Jesus. It is good for me and my technicians to be able to come into your house and have this time put aside from the cares of life, just to pray for the people you have put under my care, oh Lord. Many of them are at home watching this broadcast away from the business of living. Bless them, oh Lord. Help them not to be distracted, so that they may be encouraged by your word. We do want to hear from you, because we need to know again and anew today that you are there for us, and that you know us, and you know where you are taking us. We want you to tell us and reassure us again, oh God, that you will walk with us. You are our dwelling place, our helper throughout all generations. We thank you for your providences, for family, for friends, for our community, for food, for money to buy our provisions. We thank you, Lord, for the protections, especially from coronavirus and accidents and fights. Help us to continue trusting in you. Lord, please forgive our trespasses. Forgive our sins, those we know and those we do not know. Cleanse us from within with your blood, and make us right with thee and with one another. Father, for some here today, this present moment is filled with disappointment or impairment or heartache, and their circumstances may be dreadful and filled with reasons for sadness and sorrow. They need you to comfort them. We bring the Trimbas and the Simbas family to you, that you will dry their tears and give them healing and closure from the loss of their loved ones. Heal some, Lord, from the loss of family, loss of friends, loss of income, loss of jobs and hours. Help us to be sensitive to the needs of our brothers and sisters, and to speak a word of encouragement, or even give a sincere call or text. Help us to check on one another and hold each other's hand during these difficult days. Calm our anxieties, dear God, and assure us that you will heal our lives, you will heal our broken hearts, and you will heal the land. There are many among us today with special needs in their own lives. I need your special touch and reassurance now, oh Lord. There are numerous physical problems, and we don't understand why these things come in our lives. And we are tempted to question you, and our faith is tested, sometimes to the limit. Our friends have tested positive for COVID-19. But Lord, we know this is only but a test. Soon they will recover. Soon Rose will recover. Soon Caroline will recover. Soon everybody else who has been infected will recover. Lord, they will come and give a testimony and sing a song for you. For you have been so good to them, and I know they are healing. So Lord, we pray for their families, that they will not be afraid, but they will trust in you. Encourage and strengthen them, dear God. We pray for their parents, their siblings, their friends, their neighbors, all the people who are worried about them. Assure them today that you are working on these things, and you will heal them, and we will see them in the land of the living. We pray that their faith will not fail during these days. Father, we pray for all those who have been infected across the world. Even as you do a miracle to our own, remember them too. And if some may have to sleep, help them to know you before they sleep, oh my Father. We pray for those in the front line, the doctors, the nurses, nursing assistants, cleaners, taxi, bus, and truck drivers, the police, those who work in the fire department, those who work in the grocery stores and gas stations, those who have to go to work so that we might live comfortably, those who have to teach children remotely. Give them peace and courage, O God, and walk with them. Give them wisdom to provide the best care and the best services. May you bless their gifted hands. Calm the anxieties of their families as these people come back home, sometimes worried, sometimes feeling dejected, sometimes feeling tired, afraid that they may infect their children and their spouses, oh God. I pray that the families will not be afraid, for you have put a hedge around them, for you are covering them under your wings. They will be saved. Some among us, God, have family and relationship problems. They need special grace to see them through. Bring healing and reconciliation to them. Bless those in government so they can make rational and sensible decisions that are based on facts and science, Lord. We don't want to see new spikes of COVID-19 by the calls to liberate, oh my Father. Bless our church leaders, our President Roger Bernard, and those who work with him. Those are the union, the divisions, the general conference. Give them favor and wisdom as they lead your church during these most complicated times. Bless our local church, oh Lord. Our local church is the TME, the members of TME, the members of United Central, Lord. Bless our children, our entire church family. Help us to be faithful to our calling as your children. We thank you for listening to us, O Lord, and for answering our prayers, for it is in Jesus' name we pray and believe. May the church say amen. Amen. At this moment, I want to invite you to turn with me to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 5, in verse 1 through 15. 2 Kings chapter 5, in verse 1 through 15. I will read in my own version, and I will put it to you in a version that you can be able to read on your screens. Naaman, commander of the army for the king of Aram, was a man important to his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. The man was a valiant warrior, but he had a skin disease. Aram had gone on raids and brought back from the land of Israel a young girl who served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he could cure him of his skin disease." So Naaman went and told his master that the girl from the land of Israel had said. Therefore, the king of Aram said, "Go, and I will send a letter with you to the king of Israel." So he went and took with him 750 pounds of silver, 150 pounds of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. He brought the letter to the king of Israel, and it read, "When this letter comes to you, note that I have sent you my servant Naaman for you to cure him of his skin disease." When the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes and asked, "Am I God, killing and giving life, that this man expects me to cure a man of his skin disease? Recognize that he is only picking a fight with me." When Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent a message to the king, "Why have you torn your clothes? Have him come to me, and he will know there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and stood at the door of Elisha's house. Then Elisha sent him a messenger who said, "Go wash 7 times in the Jordan, and your skin will be restored, and you will be clean." But Naaman got angry and left, saying, "I was telling myself, he will surely come out, stand and call on the name of the Lord God is God, and wave his hand over the place and cure the skin disease. Aren't Abana and Phabar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be clean?" So he turned and left in a rage. Verse 13. But his servants approached and said to him, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, could you not have done it? How much more should you do it when he only tells you, 'Wash and be clean'?" So Naaman went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, according to the command of the man of God. Then his skin was restored and became like the skin of a small boy, and he was clean. Verse 15. And Naaman and his whole company went back to the man of God, stood before him, and declared, "I know there is no God in the whole world except in Israel. Therefore, please accept a gift from me, your servant." May the Lord bless the reading. Naaman was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of his day, the military leader of the region's most powerful nation of the time. He was the cream of the crop, lived rich and large. His neighborhood was big and leafy. He sat among the elite. The Bible says, Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Aram, was a great man in his master's sight and highly regarded. Because of him, the Lord had given him victory, and the man was a brave warrior. That is what the Bible says. Did you hear those descriptive words? Commander, great, highly regarded, victorious, valiant. Here was a man that had power, that had position, that had prestige. He was successful. He was a winner. He was wealthy. He was a hero. He was respected. He was admired. He was envied even. But that 3-letter conjunction, that small word changes everything. But he had a skin disease. He was a leper. He could think about all his accomplishment. He could enjoy his power, position, and prestige. He could admire his home and his wealth. But they all seemed to vanish as he stared into the mirror each day. Each time he looked at himself, there was something wrong. Looking back, as he tried to define his life, all his accomplishment, they did not mean anything to him, because the Bible says he was a leper. And nothing would change that fact. You know, the fact that Naaman was a leper meant a big deal. Lepers were isolated and humiliated. They were outcasts. These were the original untouchables. They were forced to wear torn clothing and shout the moment they see a person approaching to them, the moment they see anybody approaching and walking. Yes, they were allowed to walk in the streets. Yes, they were allowed to walk, but it was required that the only way people could know that this is a leper is by them forcefully wearing torn clothing, and they were required by law to go and declare, or to shout and declare, I am unclean, I am unclean. The moment they see you coming and you are dressed in your white raiment and you are dressed in your suit and you are walking towards them, and maybe you are going to the store, they will declare, I am unclean. Leprosy was the most feared disease of the day. It was extremely contagious and in many cases incurable. In its worst forms, leprosy led to death. But it appears scholars seem to agree that the disease in this man's life was just but beginning to show its initial signs. So it had not reached the point where it was so exposed and overwhelming him. But he had told his leader, the king of Israel, and he knew himself and the family at home, the people who surrounded him, knew how much he was depressed and suffering because of leprosy, the disease. This man needed a touch. He needed a touch, but there was nobody. He knew for a fact that now going forward, my children will not be able to hug me. I will not go and sit with the king at the table. I will not be able to command my army. If I must command them, I will do it. I will do it from a distance. He needed a touch. I often wonder, why is it that when I am away from my wife and children, I long for their embrace? Why is it that when we go to a funeral, we squeeze the widow's hand? Why is it that we sympathetically pat the shoulder of the defeated athlete? Why do we practice a long hug to a long lost friend? Why is it that we hold our babies? Why is it that when my son is sad, he runs to me crying and he says, hold me, daddy, hold me? Because touch brings comfort. Touch conveys acceptance. Touch promotes health. Touch imparts wholeness. I want to announce to you, my dear brother and sister listening to me, if there's one thing that coronavirus has denied us, is the power of touch. The power of touch that brings comfort. The power of touch that conveys acceptance. The power of touch that promotes health. The power of touch that imparts wholeness. We don't greet each other. We no longer hug each other. Kids salute you in the house. I mean, coronavirus, like leprosy, is a disease that has denied us the power of touch. Can you imagine stumbling through life without being touched? Without someone holding your hand when you are hurting? Without someone rubbing your back when it is sore? Without someone slapping you on the shoulder for a job well done? Without being embraced after being gone on a 2-week business trip? Naaman did not have to imagine. It was a reality for him. His leprosy was his daily friend. He held meetings remotely. He commanded from a distance. He was ostracized, and he was about to lose his job. By the way, I want to ask you a question. What is your highest landmark? What is your leprosy? What problems are you trying to conceal from people? What hurts are you trying to cover up? What prevents you from? Where do you need to be touched? We too, like Naaman, have our disfigurements. We too have become very proficient in covering our problems. We too need God's healing touch. We too, like the old Negro spiritual says, we need to go to God and declare to him, it's me, oh Lord, it's me, oh Lord, not my brother, not my sister, but it's me, oh Lord, standing for the need of bread. It's me, oh Lord, standing for the need of prayer. Not my brother, not my sister, but it's me, oh Lord, standing for the need of prayer. It's me, oh Lord, standing for the need of healing. It's me, oh Lord, standing for the need of healing. Not my father, not my mother, but it's me, oh Lord, standing for the need of prayer. Not my sister, not my brother, but it's me, oh Lord, standing for the need of prayer. It is me. It is the moment we all went to God with our leprosy. It's the moment we all went to him with the things we are hiding and tell him plainly, it's me, oh Lord, standing for the need of prayer or bread or whatever it may be. So what do? What is the cure? Where do we find help? Where do we go for healing? In a word, and from this story, go down. We need to go down. What did I say? We need to go down. While down is contrary to the direction, we are encouraged, challenged, and even rewarded to go in the world. We are always told, go up, aim higher. But in the Lord's economy, we are told, go down. There are blessings down. Prayers are answered from down. Oh, my brother and my sister, those who have learned to go down the slope, go down the valley, go down. Those who have learned to go down have found solution to their problems. Down is the way we must go if we are to find healing. Maybe it is another ailment apart from coronavirus. Maybe it is emotional healing. Maybe it is psychological healing you require. Maybe it is spiritual healing you require. We all need to go the route of down. Down is the route we must take if we are going to feel the touch of God. I want you to see with me the route that Naaman took, and you will realize that God requires you to go down. Naaman was the commander-in-chief. He finds direction from a captive servant. Can we imagine? A man who is commanding the military, the whole military of the most powerful nation in the world at that particular time in history, has to sit and listen to a maid, a slave of his wife. He needed to go down. Naaman the conqueror finds help in a conquered nation, Israel. Naaman the highly regarded man learns of his treatment not from a prophet, but the servant of a prophet. Naaman the wealthy and valiant soldier, he is cured in a dirty river in Jordan, not the prestigious rivers in his country. What can we learn from this downward descent? We need to go down. We need to go down. But there are a few lessons we need to learn. Number one, we need people in our lives who can look and see our hearts. Naaman's wife's servant had been taken hostage from an Armenian raid into Israel. Now she served in Naaman's home, tending to his wife's every need. She was not intimidated by Naaman's power, position, or prestige. She saw his pain, called it by name, knew of a pain reliever, and told Naaman where to go and find help. We need humble people in our lives who look past us. Yes, we need people in our lives who can look to see our heart, but we also need humble people in our lives who look past us, who look past our job titles, past our bank accounts, past our cars, past our houses, and see our loneliness and our need and our heart. We need people who will touch us at our point of need. We need people who will call our problems like they see them. We need people who see our blind spots. We need people in our lives who love us enough not to let us make stupid mistakes. Number 3, we need people in our lives who will demonstrate the 4 C's of a loving relationship. What are the 4 C's? C number 1 is concern. People who speak the truth in love to us. Number 2, the next C is commitment. People who walk through the pain with us. Number 3 is confidentiality. People who know the struggles we are going through, and that when we share those struggles with them, they can keep them between us. Confidentiality. Number 4, or the last C, is consistency. People who are willing to maintain regular contact. People who show concern, people who show commitment, people who show confidentiality, people who show consistency, maintain regular contact with us. In practicing these steps, these trusted partners are saying, I believe the best in you, and I am going to help you become the best you can become. You know, my dear brothers, a time like now, we have people who are afraid. We have people who are crying tears. We have people who are challenged by the issues of life. People who need somebody to share. People who need somebody to unload the burdens that are filled in their hearts. But what do they get in their Christian brothers? They get people who listen and they spread the gossip, who listen and destroy their relations, who listen and destroy their families. This is the moment the Lord requires you to have the qualities of the 4 C's I have mentioned: concern, commitment, confidentiality, and consistency. Speak the truth in love. Walk through the pain with your friend. Know the struggles and keep them private. And maintain regular contact with your friend. I want to ask you a question, my brother, my sister. Are you a balcony or a basement person? Are you a balcony or a basement person? You know, these balcony people, and everybody should be a balcony person, are people who pull you up. The balcony people lift you up. They lift you up. But the basement people drag you down. They drag you down. Who are the balcony people in your life? Who are the people that are pulling you up? Identify those who are pulling you up and stick with them. Identify those who are pulling you down and kick them out of your life. Because most people's lives are messed and are a big mess, not because they should be like that, but because of the people of the circle of friends whom they keep whenever they are, whenever they meet. All they plan, all they talk, all they imagine is that which pulls people down. Keep away from such people. We need people, my dear brothers and sisters, who can encourage us. We need people who can tell us the best in us. We need people who can tell us there is a tomorrow. We need people who can encourage us along the way. And this girl, this servant girl, this slave seems to be such a person. We need places in our lives that will provide us with safety and security. Verse 4 and 5 of 2 Kings chapter 5. Israel was a conquered nation. To Naaman, it was a second-rate, third world country. What did it have to offer? Militarily, it did not present much of a threat to Assyria. But spiritually, it provided refuge. Hallelujah. I want to repeat that statement. Israel was a conquered nation. To Naaman, it was a second-rate nation, a third world country for that matter. It did not have nothing to offer. Militarily, it was no match to Assyria, but spiritually, it provided refuge. It provided refuge. You know, in college, I had a place and a friend. We met daily at 9:30 p.m. after the evening lessons. When the weather allowed, we went somewhere, a regular place where we found refuge. Sometimes I went to that place alone. Here I poured my heart out to God. And I seemed to know for a fact that every time I went to that place, a place of my refuge, away from home, in a far country with so much challenges and suffering as a student, missing home, sometimes not having money, but God heard my prayers from this place. As an adult, I came to develop a close relationship with the churches that the Lord has given me a privilege to worship in. Church is supposed to be more than a building. It is a place to speak to God and to hear from God. And if you are honestly seeking to feel the touch of God, you will discover it in the house of God. The nation of Israel is present throughout the scripture as a metaphor of the church. The church is supposed to be a safe place, a place that gives a caring touch in an uncaring world, a place that provides sanctuary, protection, and comfort from those who could seek to assault. A place that is supposed to extend a supportive and oftentimes a healing hand to those who are in trouble. I want to challenge you, my dear brothers and sisters of TME, my dear brothers and sisters of United Central. What have we done as a church to support those who are in need, those who are challenged, those who cannot move out of their homes to go and buy, those who need certain important supply? We are a church. We are supposed to meet these needs, but what are we doing? What are we doing? Do you realize that we have people who come to our churches, to the altar, who do not get touched at home until they come to church? There are people who have challenges at home, challenges from their families, challenges from their children, challenges from their spouses, who want to come to the house of God and be touched there. But do you also realize that there are many who have come to the sanctuary of God to seek the touch of God, but they have been touched differently by other people whose business is to chase away people from the church? We are await that day when these church doors will be open. But when the doors are opened, let this church be a loving church. Let your church be a loving church. A church where you look at your brother as a brother. A church where you look at your sister as a sister. A church where we treat each other equally. A church where we love each other. A church where we pull each other up. A church where we encourage each other. That is what God requires of us. You know, sometimes when you drive out here, you find people lining outside other churches getting supplies. Yet our churches are closed. Yet our churches are closed. What has befallen us? Why can't we also begin to realize that it is our responsibility to begin these food pantries and feed the world? Are we not able? Yes, we are able. Are we mean sometimes? Yes, we are mean sometimes. The only measure that people measure in is a funeral. I was telling my friend the other day, me, I don't want anybody to come and give money in my funeral. If you have money that you must give me, I am launching my book when coronavirus ends. Come and give me money that time when I see with my book what I can be able to do in my business. Don't give me money in my funeral because I will not be there to see the money. There are people who need education. There are people who have needs that needs to be met right now. Why do you have to wait for somebody to die? Then you send money. Why don't you help that person right now when they can be able to see? Somebody is now saying, now this pastor is asking for money from. No, I'm not asking for money. I'm only telling you, don't give me money in my funeral when you can be able to help me now when I am seeing. When I am walking with you, you can't give me food. When I am walking with you, you can't buy me water. But when I die, you want to stand at my coffin and bring a bottle of water and drop it there for who to drink. Let us love one another when we are able to see, because we have no tomorrow. Show love now. Say thank you now. Say I love you now. Say I care about you now. Send a flower now. Send a card now. Show love now to your children, to your spouses. Tell them, be a father, be a mother, be kind to people now when they can be able to see. We pray that God may open our churches soon so that we can see people who need to be touched and give them the hugs, so that we can see people who need to be healed, so that we can give them healing. But for now, I encourage you to find a place in your house and go hide. Go talk to God from that hiding place. Make your house a small heaven. Let your wife find healing and love from you. A time like now, give your wife love. Give the hugs. The other days you have been saying you are busy. The other days you have been saying you have a business trip. The other days you have been saying you must run here and there. But now coronavirus has brought you home. At least give your wife love. Let her find healing. Let her find love. Let your children find growth. Let your husband find some nice food on the table. Let your guests find relief and healing because you are praying for them, because you are calling them. Oh, I forgot we don't visit. Now let your phone and your chats bring people close to God. When you call somebody, let them pick that call, knowing you are going to worship and you are going to grow, to help them grow, not gossip and pull downs. What are you using your phone for right now during the lockdown? You know, I realize that people are never worried. You know, when I read my Bible, it tells me that when Jonah went and declared that message in Nineveh, everybody from the king, they took off their clothes and wore the sacks and put ashes on their bodies, and they cried to the Lord, and God changed his mind. He repented his decision and saved them. But now coronavirus is ravaging. Coronavirus is here. It is killing people in droves. It is infecting people in droves. And you are still busy gossiping. And you are still busy writing trash on the church forums and insulting other people. And you are still, why can't you go and hide and cry to God? Perhaps when you hide and cry to God, God will hear you. God will hear you and he will heal the land. This is not a time to hate. This is not a time to insult. This is not a time to gossip. This is not a time to do things that are contrary to the will of God. This is a time to introspect yourself and ask yourself, oh God, suppose I am infected with this corona and I am taken to the hospital and I never come back to my children and I never come back to my home and I'm buried somewhere far away where nobody knows. Where shall I be when you return? Some people, even when they are sick in hospital, even when they call other people, their phones are not places of worship. They are places of gossip. We need to make our churches and our home churches places of worship. Israel was a safe place for Naaman. But before I leave this thought, I want you to notice that when Naaman first entered Israel, he was in the right place, but speaking to the wrong person. He was in the right place, but speaking to the wrong person. He first went to the king of Israel, but the king could not help him. In fact, the king misunderstood his coming altogether and thought Naaman was trying to pick a fight. Naaman heard of the words that the maid had spoken to her mistress, and obtaining permission from the king, he went forth to seek healing, taking with him 10 talents of silver and 6,000 pieces of gold and 10 changes of raiment, the Bible says. He also carried a letter from the king of Assyria to the king of Israel, in which was written the message, "Behold, I have sent Naaman my servant to thee, and thou may recover him of his leprosy." When the king of Israel read the letter, he rent his clothes and said, "Am I God to kill and to make alive, that this man doth send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me." The fact is that many people come to the right place but talk to the wrong person. They come to the right place, but they talk to the wrong person. They come to church, but to impress their friends with the money they have, with the phones they have, with the clothes they wear. They come to amaze the pastor with the credentials they possess, while they miss the main event. They talk to their friends and other people, but miss the main man. You know, we are becoming increasingly a church that does not pray to God. We sing songs, but we don't sing to God. We pray, but we don't pray to God. We hear words from God, but we don't listen to those words from God. Christians' worship has given away to religious theatrics. Entertainment has replaced the worship experience. This man, Naaman, the Bible says, he went to the wrong man. Instead of going to the servant of God, instead of going to the prophet of God, he went to the king of Israel. By the way, do you talk to God when you go to church? Right now, as you are seated home, are you really talking to God? Are you really listening to God? Is God speaking to you, or you are speaking to yourself? Are you benefiting from these messages? Are you growing from these messages? Are you being transformed from these messages? Is God speaking to you? Are you speaking to God, or you are speaking to the wrong person? It is only God who can heal you. It is only God who can touch you. It is only God who can scoop you in his arms and hug you. Hallelujah. But I want to say, my dear brothers and sisters, we all need prophets in our lives who will point us to the cure. tidings of the matter reached Elisha, and he sent word to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent your clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came to his house with the horses, with his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. Through a messenger, the prophet bade him, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. Naaman had expected a wonderful manifestation. Ellen White says, Naaman had expected a wonderful manifestation of the power from heaven. He said, I thought he will surely come out to me and stand at the door and receive me, and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place and recover the leper. When told to wash in the Jordan, his pride was touched. And in mortification and disappointment, he exclaimed, Are not Abana and Phabar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in rage. Prophets have that effect on people. They don't beat around the bush sometimes. Sometimes pastors lack tact. Sometimes pastors lack logic. Sometimes pastors appear stupid and nonsensical when they tell us stuff. When they want to put the point to us. Sometimes they tell it like it is. They oftentimes offend and can appear to be insulting, but they speak the truth nonetheless. And when you are face to face with a disease, when you are faced with death, when you are faced with a challenge that is going to kill your life, you need a pastor who can tell you the truth. You need a pastor who can tell you you are misbehaving. You need a pastor who can point you to the right way. You need a pastor who can tell you you require to go to the Jordan and wash yourself 7 times. But many times, people choose comfort rather than the inconvenience of the message that is bringing them life and healing. I want you to listen. Many times people choose comfort rather than the inconvenience of the message that brings them healing. This man is talking about the comforts of the rivers back home. Yet the message the servant of God is giving, go and wash yourself 7 times and you will be whole. Ellen White says Naaman almost rejected his opportunity for healing by getting angry that Elisha did not show up to greet him at the door. I have seen in my long years of ministry people who get mad at the preacher's instructions and in the process miss the healing. They get mad at being told the truth and they spend much of their time prodding about it, complaining about it, questioning the methods of the pastor, and they miss out on the blessing of God. The blessing of God. They miss out on the blessings that God has sent the preacher to deliver. They go complaining about the word, about the method that the preacher may have used. Are you such a person? Naaman is servants. Friends, we all need people close to us who can show us the correct path. We all need people close to us who can redirect our ways. You know, sometimes I wonder. I have wondered sometimes when a person acts like a child, I have often asked myself, does this person have a wife? Because when you are behaving like a child, you are not behaving like a grown-up. You are behaving publicly like a child. I wonder sometimes, do you even have a wife who can pull you aside and tell you, man, you are bringing curses home. You are destroying your children. You are harming us. Stop it. Some people are so wild, they are so uncontrollable. Do these people even have children who can tell them, Daddy, behave properly, you are overstepping? Do these people even have friends who can pull them aside and tell them, calm down, it is gonna be better? Naaman, thank God, he had servants who could tell him the truth. And this is what they told him. They told him, if the prophet had told you to bring gold and silver, to bring a great thing, would you not have done it? He has only asked you to freely go to the river of Jordan and take a shower 7 times. How difficult is that? If he could have told you, go bring 10 acres of land, you could have gone and brought it. If he could have told you, go bring 100 camels, you could have done it. If he could have told you, go bring 1,000 cows, bulls, you could have done it. But he has not asked you none of those. He is simply saying, go and take a wash. Bible says, Naaman went. He went. But before I move from that point, I also see another point. You know, when Naaman came to the prophet Elisha's house, it was down there in Samaria, a downtrodden place, a place that even the Israelites hated, but this is where the servant of God lived. Nobody used to visit that place because it was a poor of the poor, Samaria. Now Naaman appeared at the door. When he appeared at the door, he expected Naaman, Elisha himself, to come out and meet him. But Elisha did not move out of his house. Instead, he sent Gehazi, his servant, to go and meet him. And this guy complained at on and said, why did the servant of God not come? Are you a pastor-only person? You know, there are people in church who can never listen to any elder's sermon because the pastor is not preaching. So if I ask an elder to preach, you don't want to listen. You switch off, you cry, you mourn. If I put a child to preach, you don't want to listen. If I tell a youth to speak, you don't want to listen. You only want somebody special. People who say, call speakers from South Africa, call speakers from England to come and preach to us. You don't even want to listen to the servant of God who are close to you. Even a child can bring you a message. Hallelujah. God can speak through anybody. And God this time is not coming through Elisha. He is coming through a servant. Be careful. If you are the pastor-only crowd or the big shot-only crowd, because God might send a servant to touch you and heal you. You may miss the blessing if you are looking the wrong way. Many have received the touch of God and the healing of his power, not because of the spectacular, but because of a lowly servant of God who came and ministered to them. Do not look down upon people. Do not look down upon preachers. You know, like now we have coronavirus. Maybe in June we will all recover and we might not have time to call for speakers for the camp meeting. You know, there are people who will not come for a camp meeting because they will hear who is preaching. Maybe Pastor Isaboke is preaching and they will say, that is no camp. This year we don't have a camp. Because they know Pastor Isaboke locally. They are expecting us to spend 10,000, call a preacher from West Indies. Then they will dress up and come and listen. You are a big shot preacher man. Let me tell you one thing. Gehazi has the message. And the message is from Elisha. And the message is, go and you will be healed. God can use a child. God can use a women ministry leader. God can use even a woman who is not a women ministries leader. God can use a youth who is not even a youth leader. God can use whom he chooses to bring healing. Be willing to listen. When children pray, listen. When the elderly pray, listen. Don't say these ones are outdated. They don't know modern stuff. They don't understand the internet. They cannot preach online. Stuff like that don't make sense to me. You are acting yourself silly. God says, listen to Gehazi. Even Gehazi can bring you healing. But I want to finish by giving you the prescription that brought healing to this man. Healing came from doing what God said. Naaman continued to doubt when he entered the Jordan. And singers have sung and said, he dipped himself, he looked at skin, nothing had changed. He dipped himself again, looked at the skin, nothing had changed. He dipped himself the third time, he looked at skin, nothing had changed. And he said, I'm gonna get out of this river, go into my chariot and go home. But the servants kept encouraging him. You have done 3, do the 4th one. You have done 4, do the 5th one. You have done 5, do the 6th one. You have done the 6th, do the last one. And when he dipped himself the 7th time, he recovered. Hallelujah. Why and how did he recover? God asked him 7 times and he obeyed 7 times. Humility leads to obedience. The humble person makes no claims on God, but knows that God has claims on him or her. When all God asks for 7 times, do not try to get by with only 5 or 6 times. God wants us to go the distance, will we? God is not trying to tie conditions to his healing, but rather he is testing our obedience. That is why, you know, God has given us brains, and he has given us science, and he has given us ability to have our young people, our elderly people go to school and study science. And God has given them wisdom on how to guide us during this coronavirus season. Obey. Humility requires you to obey. It requires you to obey. Obey what they are telling us. Even when you have become unlucky and you have become sick and you are sick and suffering, still there are instructions you must obey. Obey those instructions so that you will be fine, so that you will recover, so that you don't infect any other person. Obedience, humility leads to obedience, and it is that obedience that God honors. It is that obedience that God honors. He finally humbled himself in complete obedience to the loving instructions of God's messenger. And in doing so, he was touched by God and healed in a way that did not fit his expectations. So Naaman went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, according to the command of the man of God, 2 Kings 5:14. Then his skin was restored and became like the skin of a small boy, and he was clean. If his leprosy defined his earlier life, it was God's healing touch that redefines his latter life. Having experienced the grace of God, he was changed, not only physically, but spiritually and vocationally. Naaman stood before Elisha and said, I know there is no God in the whole world except in Israel. Therefore, please accept a gift from your servant. You know, there are people who will never listen to the instructions from their spiritual leaders. There are people who are outrightly despiseful in their nature. They will never listen. But had Naaman not listened, he could have not been healed. My dear brother, the emphasis we are making today to all of us, this man came big, he came huge, he came haughty and proud, but he was humbled. This time, once he received the touch of God, Naaman went from a sick man to a healed man, from an ungodly man to a godly man, from a lost man to a saved man, from a great man to a gracious man, and from a commander of men to a servant. Here was a man that had felt the touch of God and was changed now and forever. I need that touch. You need that touch. Are you willing? It only takes obedience. It only takes obedience and you will be healed. It only takes obedience and you will be healed. And God has not lied to us. If you read his word, he will teach you humility, and humility requires you to obey even his servants. Centuries after Naaman returned to his Syrian home, healed in body and converted in spirit, his wonderful faith was referred to and commended by Jesus Christ in Luke chapter 4 verse 27. The Savior declared, Luke chapter 4 verse 27, the Savior said, many lepers were in Israel in the time of Elias the prophet, and none of them were cleansed save for Naaman the Syrian. God passed over the many lepers in Israel because of their unbelief and because they despised the men of God. The blessings that God had brought to them were passed over. Other people received the blessings. Other places received the blessings. A pagan man from Syria, Jesus said, received the blessings. Yet there were many people who were lepers in Israel. These were never blessed because they despised the man of God. A heathen nobleman who had been true to his convictions of right, who felt his need of help, was in the sight of God more worthy of his blessing than were the afflicted in Israel, who had slighted and despised their God-given privileges. God works for those who appreciate his favors and respond to the light given to them from heaven. Today, in every land, there are those who are honest in heart, and upon this the light of heaven is shining. If they continue faithful in following that which they understand to be duty, they will be given increased light until, like Naaman of old, they will be constrained to acknowledge that there is no God in all the earth save the living God, God the Creator. So my brother, my sister, may the Lord bless you as you contemplate upon these words. Yes, there is healing. There is healing, especially healing from sin, healing from pride, healing from missing the blessings that are local, looking for blessings from international. You know, there are people. God has specifically given me a message to present to you as a member of TME, but right now you are playing music and forcing God to bless you through music rather than listening to the message. Listen, my dear brother, there were people who never received healing because they missed it right at home. But a man came from Assyria and he recovered. Are you such a person? I want to invite you to the presence of God. God who can heal you, God who can touch you, God who can bless you, God who can lift you, God who can change you, God who can prepare you for the kingdom. Accept this God right now. And even now as you're listening to me and you desire to be baptized, just send me a text message and I'll prepare for your baptism. As soon as this corona is over, we will be able to baptize you because you are ready to receive the blessings of God. May the King of Kings, the great physician, touch those among us who are sick, we pray, so that they may recover. Thank you for listening. May God bless you in Jesus' name. Oh, Heavenly Father, we lift all the listeners before you. Like Naaman, Lord, we all are lepers. Now we come. Help us to listen to you. In whatever means you speak to us, in whoever servant you send to us, help us to listen to you, for therein our healing will happen. Lord, bless us. Lord, lift us. Lord, help us. Lord, guard us. Heal our sick. Comfort those who need comfort. And walk with us through this week as we go to work, as we do our thing. May your protection cover us until we meet again. We pray these things in Jesus' name. May the church say, amen. Amen.
fikiri kwa makini ukumbuke, rehema na neema nimekupa, lakini bado wewe wanikana. Petero nakwambia, lisha kondoo wangu. Petero, 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 fikiri kwa makini ukumbuke, rehema na neema nimekupa, lakini bado wewe wanikana. Petero nakwambia, lisha kondoo wangu. Petero,
mara ngapi mwanadamu unamkana Mungu Muumba wako, unamkiri kwenye kinywa chako, lakini moyo mbali naye. Pendo mali amekupa, uhai na neema bure bure, lakini wewe bado unamkana. Jichunguze kwa makini,
tafakari mapenzi yake Bwana. Anakupenda, uone alivyokutenda wema. Yeye ni wema. Tafakari mapenzi yake Bwana. Anakupenda, uone alivyokutenda wema. Yeye ni wema. Na wewe Petero, Petero, fikiri kwa makini ukumbuke, rehema na neema nimekupa, lakini bado wewe wanikana. Petero nakwambia, lisha kondoo wangu. Petero, 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 fikiri kwa makini ukumbuke, rehema na neema nimekupa, lakini bado wewe wanikana. Petero nakwambia, lisha kondoo wangu. Petero,
Sikiliza, sikiliza, wewe unayedhani umesimama, angalia kwa makini, wewe waanza kuporomoka, sababu umenisahau, umegeuka upande. Umejawa na kiburi, je wafahamu utaanguka? Nawe unyenyekee kwake Mwokozi, lisha kondoo za Mungu Baba. Petro, Petero, tafakari ulikotoka, tafakari mapenzi yake Bwana.
anakupenda,
uone alivyokutenda wema.
yeye ni wema.
Tafakari mapenzi yake Bwana.
Anakupenda,
uone alivyokutenda wema.
yeye ni wema.
Na wewe
Petero, Petero, fikiri kwa makini ukumbuke, rehema na neema nimekupa, lakini bado wewe wanikana. Petero nakwambia, lisha kondoo wangu. Petero, 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 fikiri kwa makini ukumbuke, rehema na neema nimekupa, lakini bado wewe wanikana. Petero nakwambia, lisha kondoo wangu. Petero, 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 fikiri kwa makini ukumbuke, rehema na neema nimekupa, lakini bado wewe wanikana. Petero nakwambia, lisha kondoo wangu. Petero, 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 fikiri kwa makini ukumbuke, rehema na neema nimekupa, wanikana. Petero nakwambia, lisha kondoo wangu. Petero, 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 fikiri kwa makini ukumbuke, rehema na neema nimekupa, lakini bado wewe wanikana. Petero nakwambia, lisha kondoo wangu. Petero.
Want to make math fun for your child? Prodigy Game can help you take learning engagement to the next level. And with a premium membership,
Siku yaja wala sio nyingi, natamani siku hiyo nimuone Yona, anisimulie, anieleze maisha gani aliyoishi ndani ya samaki kwa siku 3. Anisimulie, anajua uwezo wa Mungu. Siku yaja wala sio nyingi, natamani siku hiyo nimuone Yona, anisimulie, anieleze maisha gani aliyoishi ndani ya samaki kwa siku 3. Anisimulie, anajua uwezo wa Mungu. Ninajua anajua Yona uwezo wa Mungu Baba. Alijaribu kumtoroka asione uso wake. Mungu wetu mwenye uwezo, anayejua kusoma akili zetu, anajua siri zetu zote, hatuwezi kujificha. Tumruhusu ni Mungu wetu, yeye atutawale. Ninajua anajua Yona uwezo wa Mungu Baba. Alijaribu kumtoroka asione uso wake. Mungu wetu mwenye uwezo, anayejua kusoma akili zetu, anajua siri zetu zote, hatuwezi kujificha. Tumruhusu ni Mungu wetu, yeye atutawale. Wasafiri walimuuliza, wewe unatoka wapi, nchi yako ipi? Akawaambia, kawaeleza, taifa langu ni Ibrania, ninamcha Mungu Muumba wetu. Simama uombe Mungu wako na atuokoe. Wasafiri walimuuliza, wewe unatoka wapi, nchi yako ipi? Akawaambia, kawaeleza, taifa langu ni Ibrania, ninamcha Mungu Muumba wetu. Simama uombe Mungu wako na atuokoe. Ninajua anajua Yona uwezo wa Mungu Baba. Alijaribu kumtoroka asione uso wake. Mungu wetu mwenye uwezo, anayejua kusoma akili zetu, anajua siri zetu zote, hatuwezi kujificha. Tumruhusu ni Mungu wetu, yeye atutawale. Ninajua anajua yona uwezo wa Mungu Baba, maana alijaribu kumtoroka asione uso wake. Mungu wetu mwenye uwezo, anayejua kusoma akili zetu, anajua siri zetu zote, hatuwezi kujificha. Tumruhusu ni Mungu wetu, yeye atutawale. Tufani ilizidi kuvuma, wasafiri kwenye meli walijawa hofu. Walimuuliza, ni jambo gani baya wewe ulilolitenda hadi tunakufa ndani ya bahari? Tukutende nini ili bahari iwe salama? Tufani ilizidi kuvuma, wasafiri kwenye meli walijawa hofu. Walimuuliza, ni jambo gani baya wewe ulilolitenda hadi tunakufa ndani ya bahari? Tukutende nini ili bahari iwe salama? Ninajua anajua yona uwezo wa Mungu Baba, maana alijaribu kumtoroka asione uso wake. Mungu wetu mwenye uwezo, anayejua kusoma akili zetu, anajua siri zetu zote, hatuwezi kujificha. Tumruhusu ni Mungu wetu, yeye atutawale. Ninajua anajua yona uwezo wa Mungu Baba, maana alijaribu kumtoroka asione uso wake. Mungu wetu mwenye uwezo, anayejua kusoma akili zetu, anajua siri zetu zote, hatuwezi kujificha. Tumruhusu ni Mungu wetu, yeye atutawale. Ninajua anajua yona uwezo wa Mungu Baba, maana alijaribu kumtoroka asione uso wake. Mungu wetu mwenye uwezo, anayejua kusoma akili zetu, anajua siri zetu zote, hatuwezi kujificha. Tumruhusu ni Mungu wetu, yeye atutawale.
What is the best kept secret to becoming a great singer? I'm going to answer that question in 30 seconds. Let's start that clock. Hi, my name is Aaron Anastasi. I'm the founder of
pita katika pita zako, umemsahau Mungu wako. Unajiona ya kwamba wewe waweza yote, lakini kumbuka Mungu ni muweza yote. Umepita pita zako, umemsahau Mungu wako. Unajiona waweza yote, lakini kumbuka Mungu ni muweza yote. Pita katika pita zako, umemsahau Mungu wako. Unajiona ya kwamba wewe waweza yote, lakini kumbuka Mungu ni muweza yote. Anaweza yote, hakika Mungu wetu yeye ni muweza. Aliwavusha wana Israeli jangwani, hata baharini anaweza yote, hakika Mungu wetu yeye ni muweza. Aliwavusha wana Israeli jangwani, hata baharini anaweza. Ukijikaza kwa kutafuta vya dunia, ukumbuke mibaraka inatoka kwake. Fanya kazi yake Mwokozi, we kwa bidii, na mengine yote wewe utazidishiwa.
Ukijikaza kwa kutafuta vya dunia, ukumbuke mibaraka inatoka kwake. Fanya kazi yake Mungu kwa bidii, na mengine utazidishiwa.
Ukijikaza kwa kutafuta vya dunia, ukumbuke mibaraka inatoka kwake. Fanya kazi yake Mwokozi, we kwa bidii, na mengine yote wewe utazidishiwa. Anaweza yote, hakika Mungu wetu yeye ni muweza. Aliwavusha wana Israeli jangwani, hata baharini anaweza yote, hakika Mungu wetu yeye ni muweza. Aliwavusha wana Israeli jangwani, hata baharini anaweza. Anaweza yote, hakika Mungu wetu yeye ni muweza. Aliwavusha wana Israeli jangwani, hata baharini anaweza. Anaweza yote, hakika Mungu wetu yeye ni muweza. Aliwavusha wana Israeli jangwani, hata baharini anaweza. Anaweza yote, hakika Mungu wetu yeye ni muweza. Aliwavusha wana Israeli jangwani, hata baharini anaweza. Anaweza yote, hakika Mungu wetu yeye ni muweza. Aliwavusha wana Israeli jangwani, hata baharini anaweza. Anaweza yote, hakika Mungu wetu yeye ni muweza. Aliwavusha wana Israeli jangwani, hata baharini anaweza.
We get it. You don't really want your kids watching videos, but it can have certain advantages. But what if your child could